Hello, my name is Melissa Williams, and we are in week 8, and we're going to discuss both of my topics: shortage of family physicians in urban areas and health care resources for mentally ill patients. So let's get right into it. The question that I asked myself while I was doing this research: why is there a shortage? Well, most people in the urban areas do not have primary physicians, and when this happens, they go seek help in the emergency room for things like school physicals for their children, common cold and flu-like symptoms, prenatal care checkup, and return to work statements. Now, the emergency room would never turn away a patient because they cannot do that. But unfortunately, our emergency rooms are being turned into clinics, and that's not what we want to do. And then 2 is a lack of resources. Hey, if there's nobody telling me that I need to go seek out a primary care physician, I'm going to go to the emergency room for any little thing. And that's what's happening. Or what about this? The government red tape. The government regulates everything that's dealing with primary care, emergency rooms, or whatever the case may be. And most of all, doctors burn out. Now, when I was doing this research, I noticed that one of the things that most of the primary care physicians thrive on is insurance. Most physicians prefer their patients to have Blue Cross Blue Shield, AARP, Cigna, Aetna, Humana, United Healthcare Group, just to name a few. But most people in the urban areas have public assistance, which is Harmony. Now, some physicians do accept that, but there's a cap on it, okay? So that means depending on your HCAHPS scores of your hospital, you might have a service of $2,000 that you need to bill for, but depending on your HCAHPS scores, you only may get a percentage of maybe $200 in payment. So a lot of primary care physicians are like, you know what? I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather go to another place where I'm able to get all of my money, which is understandable. Now, another thing that with finding a primary care physician is all about the location. So if I was a doctor and I'm coming straight out of residency school, do I want to go to the community hospital and get paid $100,000 to $200,000 for the same work if I go to a prestigious hospital and get paid anywhere from $500,000 to almost $800,000, and I have $400,000 worth of student loan debt? So it's easy to say, you know what, I'm going over here because I'm able to get out debt. I'm able to work in a prestigious hospital, and I don't have to deal with that. So those are some things to take into consideration. Why is there a lack of primary care physicians in the urban area? Just to let you know, by the year 2025, there is going to be a lack of physicians coming out. And you say, well, why? Well, number one, most of the residents that come out of medical school are in, again, $400,000, almost to $500,000 worth of debt. And they need, with that being said about why is there a lack of primary care physicians in an urban area, I would like to move on to healthcare resources for mentally ill patients. As I was doing my research, I noticed there is a lack of psychiatrists in all areas, meaning if you want to seek help or needed to talk to somebody, you're going to have to wait anywhere from 3 to 10 months to seek an appointment, meaning you're just going to have to wait. That's sad and it's very unfortunate, but it's happening. So the government and other facilities around it are trying to come up with new and innovative ways to retain psychiatrists. In other words, they have raised their annual salary to almost $20,000, trying to retain and recruit additional professionals. One thing that stuck out to me, and I have experienced this firsthand, is mental health care educational awareness. Now, when I say that is, a lot of people do not understand mental illness at all, and they don't understand it where they don't even know how to identify it. And if they do, they say, you know what, I don't want any parts of that. that's not my forte. I'm not dealing with that because of lack of the educational awareness. Now, thankfully, I was blessed to work at St. Bernard Hospital, and I understood and I can identify who has mental illness and who does not have mental illness. And that's something that people need to learn how to do. But unfortunately, it's not fair. Another thing that came across, why is there a lack of resources, is the stigma of mental health condition. I know in the African American community, we fail to embrace healthcare. We fail to embrace mental health conditions. Meaning, well, you know what? I'd rather just push it aside and not say anything about it and pray and hope that it gets better. But instead saying, you know what? I need to go figure out what's going on. I need to go talk to somebody because they may feel a lack of embarrassment. Because you say, you know what, this is not supposed to happen to my family, but it does. And another thing that I noticed that's dealing with mental health issues, working at St. Bernard Hospital, is they're using the emergency rooms to seek help. But with that is, if you come in with a mental ill diagnosis, you're only able to stay in the hospital for 3 days, and then after that you are released back into the general public depending on what's going on. That's another thing that we are having a lack of, is definitely healthcare facilities. Now, with that being said, speaking of healthcare facilities, there's far and few between. I know here in Chicago we have Lydia's House, we have St. Bernard, we have a little bit of Illinois Masonic, Christ, and a physician, a mental health facility by Franciscan Health, where they do have that, but it's not a lot. And when I say it's not a lot, there are a lot of children that are suffering with mental health illnesses, and we don't have the training or the room to house those people. So that's definitely a huge issue, is the lack of resources for mentally ill. With that being said, about resources for mentally ill patients, one thing that stood out to me again was financial barriers. Now, dealing with some of our insurances that I've listed previous, most of those insurance will not cover mental illness treatments, and that is a huge problem that causes a huge barrier. So having a lack of money to get help, you know, I understand that there is a lot of ethical and unethical things that happen to our patients, but we have to continue to educate our people that we are around, and hopefully we can make a difference. I have listed all of the resources in my video. Please take a look at them, and thank you. Bye.